From space, we dive down through the clouds, past the Pyrenees, and drop toward the very center of the Iberian Peninsula. There, lifted high on a dry plateau, sits Madrid, the home of the team the whole world calls La Roja, the Reds. This is one of the highest capitals in all of Europe, where the winters bite hard and the summers blaze. Over the past month, Spain has fought its way through this World Cup, all the way to the final, and the deep roots of that Red Army run right through this one city. Before we talk about the trophy, we have to talk about the city itself, its plateau and its palaces, its two great stadiums and its singing crowds. So follow the World Cup and let us meet Spain. So why does Madrid sit so high? Because it stands on the great central plateau of Spain, ringed by dry tableland, with a single thin river, the Manzanares, threading quietly through it. At roughly 650 meters above the sea, it is one of the highest capitals in Europe, and it sits almost exactly at the geographic center of the whole country. Walk in any direction, and every road leads you out toward a border. There is no coast here, and no great mountain leaning over it. What Madrid has instead is position. It is the beating heart of the nation's road and rail network, the place where every national highway begins its numbering, radiating outward like the spokes of a giant wheel. Wind the clock back to 1561. The King of Spain, Philip II, made a single decision that changed everything. He moved the royal court to Madrid. Before that day, this was an unremarkable little town up on the plateau, easy to miss on any map. But the moment it became the capital, the nobles and the courtiers came flooding in, and in just a few decades the population multiplied nearly tenfold. A quiet town at the dead center of the map grew, almost overnight, into the heart of a vast empire. And there it has stayed, at the very center of Spanish life, for more than 400 years since. The exact center of the city is a square called the Puerta del Sol. Set into the pavement there is a single stone slab marked kilometer 0, the point from which every road in Spain is measured. On one corner, a stone bear reaches up into a strawberry tree, the ancient emblem of Madrid. And every New Year's Eve, the whole city crams into this square to swallow 12 grapes with the 12 strokes of the bells, one grape to a strike, for luck. A few hundred meters west lies the Plaza Mayor, a huge square boxed in on all four sides, where centuries ago they held festivals and markets alike. Further west still rises the Royal Palace, more than 400 rooms, the largest palace by floor area in all of Western Europe, gilded and grand enough to take your breath clean away. But the thing Madrid is proudest of is not its towers, it is its paintings. The Prado Museum, the National Gallery of Spain, hangs more than 600 works on its walls. The masterpieces of Velázquez and Goya fill room after room, a place of pilgrimage for art lovers from every corner of the world. Step out and head east and you reach the Retiro, once a royal garden, now some 15,000 trees around a lake, with a palace of glass at its heart, where all of Madrid comes to row boats and lie in the sun on the weekend. And at night, the city truly wakes. Small plate after small plate of tapas, a glass of red wine, a dinner that runs from 8 in the evening clear past midnight. The later it gets, the more alive Madrid becomes. Here is a rare thing. Very few capitals on earth can field two elite European clubs at once, and Madrid is one of them. To the north of the city stands the Bernabeu, home of Real Madrid. To the east rises the Metropolitano, home of Atletico. On one side, a white-shirted dynasty with a cupboard full of European cups. On the other, a red-and-white army whose defense is as hard as an iron drum. Several times a year, the entire city holds its breath for a single derby, split clean down the middle. And it is out of these two grounds that the backbone of the national team is quietly forged. First, north of the river, the Santiago Bernabeu, the home of Real Madrid. Between 2019 and 2025, this old stadium was torn down and rebuilt at a cost of around €1.3 billion. A shell of silver metal now wraps the entire bowl, a roof slides open and shut overhead, and the pitch itself can sink whole into the ground to be kept fresh, so the arena can host concerts and matches all year round. After the rebuild, it holds more than 83,000 people, and when the lights come up, that ring of steel seems to breathe and shift its color. And on this very turf, Real Madrid have won a record 15 European Cups, more than any other club has ever come close to. Now swing the camera east to Atletico's Metropolitano. Open since 2017, it seats around 70,000, with more than 9 in 10 of those seats tucked under a roof, so the rain never reaches them. Next to the sheer luxury of the Bernabeu, this place has a different character altogether. It is hard. The manager, Diego Simon, has drilled this team into the toughest opponent in all of Europe. A back line like a wall and a counterattack like a knife. Atletico have lifted the Spanish league 11 times, and twice they have reached the Champions League final in 2014 and 2016. Both times, agonizingly, they fell to their neighbors from the Bernabeu, once to a last-gasp equalizer, once on penalties. There was once a way of playing football that the whole world tried and simply could not copy. It had a playful little name, Tiki-Taka. For a few short years, this one idea let Spain rule the entire sport. So what actually is it? Put simply, it is passing the ball to death. Short pass after short pass, the ball ticking from foot to foot, weaving a net that slowly wears the other team out and pulls them apart. If we have the ball, then you cannot attack. And the finest defense of all is making sure you never once touch it. Watching Spain in those years was like watching an endless game of keep ball, elegant and utterly lethal. And here is the scoreboard, something no team in history had ever managed. In 2008, Spain won the European Championship. In 2010, at the World Cup in South Africa, they climbed to the very top, lifting the trophy for the first time in the nation's history, with Andres Iniesta driving home the winner deep in extra time against the Netherlands. Then in 2012, they defended their European crown. 3 major titles in 4 years: the Euros, the World Cup, and the Euros again, back to back to back. To this day, Spain remain the only side ever to carry all 3 of those trophies home in a single unbroken run. A style like that needs a rare set of feet to play it. In midfield, Xavi and Iniesta were the brain and the heart of this team, one conducting the play, the other delivering the killer blow. Behind them stood Carles Puyol, a wall that simply would not fall. In goal was the captain, Iker Casillas, and around them Sergio Ramos, Sergio Busquets, David Villa, Fernando Torres, and more. Together they came to be seen as one of the greatest generations the game has ever produced, a group of players who, for half a decade, made the whole world look ordinary by comparison. And most of these geniuses came out of a single school, Barcelona's La Masia Academy. Back in 1979, the Dutch legend Johan Cruyff carried the philosophy of Ajax south with him, the idea that from the very youngest children, every single team should be taught just one way to play and made to believe in just one style. By 2010, all 3 finalists for the Ballon d'Or, the award for the world's best player, had come from La Masia, the first time that had ever happened. Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, Pique, and Messi all rolled off this one production line. And Barca's home, the Camp Nou, holds close to 100,000 people, the largest stadium in all of Europe, where their fierce rivalry with Real Madrid, El Clasico, remains the most watched club match on the whole planet. So it is no surprise that the national team is known simply by a color, La Roja, the Reds, and in an older, fiercer age by a grander name still, La Furia Roja, the Red Fury. Red is the color Spaniards claim above all others, a fire-red shirt over the red and yellow of the flag. When a big tournament comes around, the fans pull on those red shirts, drape the flag across their shoulders, and pack into squares and bars by the tens of thousands, roaring as one. A red tide rolling in wave after wave. Their favorite chant is 3 simple words, a poor Elos, go and get them. And their anthem, the Royal March, is one of the very few in the world with no words at all, so the players and the fans simply hum the melody, la, 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 and sing it with tears in their eyes all the same. The maddest night of all came back in the summer of 2010. When the news reached home, The whole of Madrid seemed to catch fire. On the grand avenue of the Paseo de Recoletos, close to 300,000 people crushed together in a sea of red and gold, weeping and roaring. And the next day the team rolled past the Cibel's fountain on an open-top bus, while the cry of Viva España rang through the streets. That sense of belonging is stitched right into the city. When Real Madrid win, their fans stream to the Cibel's fountain and wrap a scarf around the goddess. When Atletico win, they head instead to the Neptune fountain a few streets away. The mattress makers, nicknamed for the red and white stripes they have worn since 1911. And over in Barcelona, the Cules have sung the Cant del Barca before every home match since 1974. And so, at last, to this World Cup. All summer long, La Roja carried that same red tide forward, through the group stage and the knockouts, until only the final itself remained. And there, on the biggest stage in the entire sport, Spain won the 2026 World Cup, beating Argentina 1-0 after extra time to be crowned world champions. A single goal, deep into extra time, and a whole nation of Reds erupted all over again, exactly as it had back in 2010. The shirts will change and the stars will grow old, but nights like these, an entire country dressed in red and roaring as one, are precisely why football in Spain has never once been merely a game. From a capital lifted high on the plateau, to two football cathedrals on opposite sides of one city, to a passing philosophy the whole world tried to copy, and the red tide that sings it all onward, this has been Spain. Shirts get swapped and scores are soon forgotten, but that red up in the stands and those voices calling their team home are passed down from one generation to the next and never fade. Football here was never just 90 minutes on the clock. It is a whole city and 100 years of people throwing one long party together. That has been our flight across Spain. Follow the World Cup and meet the world one country at a time. Until next time.